How you guys doing? And welcome to another episode of Moment by Moment. We are in our season 4. I just want to say thank you for joining us on this journey. We are so excited about bringing you relevant topics and discussions of what the church is talking about today, what people are talking about today. And so without further ado, today we're going to be discussing friendship versus accountability and what it means to us. We know we're not experts, but just lean into this discussion today. Drop your comments if you have any, and please share and follow us. And make sure you check out our new merch. It's at ohcmerch.church. Make sure you check us out today to see all of our latest designs. With me today, I have Michelle and Austin. How are you guys doing? You want to introduce yourselves?
Good. Yeah, I'm Michelle Craddock and the Associate Equipping Minister here at Oak Hills. I've been on staff for 13 years.
Wow.
I think. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's been fun. It's been fun.
Yeah. I'm also doing great. I'm Austin. I'm the graphic designer. And as of right now, been here for about 8 months, but who knows, by the time this gets up, maybe 2 years, maybe 3. Who knows?
You never know. Well, we're glad to have you, Austin and Michelle. We're super excited about this topic. When we were discussing this initially, it was something that we feel like hasn't been discussed enough and really in great detail. So, I mean, when you think about accountability, I'm just going to give a definition, but then I want you guys' personal definitions. All right. So I'm just going to read what's on like Merriam-Webster. All right. So accountability is an assurance that an individual or organization is evaluated on its performance or behavior related to something for which is responsible. All right. I don't know if you followed that.
No.
So when you think about accountability, what does it mean to you? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Accountability to me is just you own the good and the bad of the choices that you make. It's about being integral? Whatever.
Feels right.
It's about having integrity is what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say. And it's about also having the respect of the people that are going to hold you accountable. It's not about control. It's not about shame or anything like that. You are trying to better yourself either in a physical or spiritual sense, but to have that person there that's to say, you messed up or you're doing good. That to me is what accountability is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, integrity plays a big part in it, and it's not always about, hey, I see you falling in this area of your life, or you really messed up. You got to get it together. Sometimes it's even like, hey, you're doing awesome. Like, keep doing that. And where in your life can you keep doing that? And then a friend or a mentor, somebody coming alongside you saying, hey, this is where you could do better, or you could continue to do better, or hey, come on, let's do better at whatever you might be talking about.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing from both of you is kind of like a check, right? So somebody who's going to check you when you're doing something wrong. So in accountability, we're going to discuss the difference between friendship. So let's just go ahead and give a generic definition. When you think about friendship, what does that mean to you?
Well, I think it's a mutual relationship where you have the best in mind for each other. So
Okay.
not just for yourself, which is a
Right.
weakness of mine,
Right.
but for the other person. So we have that in mind
definitely.
for each other.
It's an interesting concept because you automatically assume that you just want to be with people that are just literally you and their body. But true friendships is where you have that different opposing views that you can have real discussions and everything. But at the end of the day, there's still, again, that mutual respect for each other of, I'm going to hear what you're going to say. There's going to be nothing coming from that. And yeah.
So when you guys think about, we discussed friendship, we discussed accountability. What are some of the major differences that you guys find? When you think about accountability and you think about a friend, what are the major differences?
Man, I don't know. I kind of think that with a real friendship comes accountability.
Right.
So I don't know that there's like a difference. Sometimes I think that you can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
Accountability, even, I don't want just a random person holding me accountable unless it's like a written contract or something, but
Is that a thing?
A written contract for president.
You just go to a random person, sign this, and then text me every Monday. And
here's my number and my hashtags.
in your hashtags. But yeah, so I don't know. That's a really good question. What do you think, JD?
It's interesting. So I think there's a difference between them because accountability, I think my accountability partner could not be my friend. Mm-hmm. Reason being this, I could see them as a mentor, right? But I don't want to go bowling with my mentor because they would just not be fun to hang out with, right? But I respect them in a spiritual way. I respect their wisdom and I respect who they are in Christ. But that doesn't mean I want to hang out with you on Saturday. Mm-hmm. But that means that I'm going to still listen to them. Now, in a friend, I might have such a great friendship that I still don't listen to what you say because you're my friend. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. I got you. But like, let's still go and do whatever we're talking about. And a friend, like a true friend, to your point, wouldn't let you do something that's harmful to you. Right. But the problem is, I think if you have a friend who struggles with the same things you struggle with, that friend is not going to be the best accountability partner because they're going to be struggling with it as well. So,
yeah, I was going to say, because I pride myself on making a lot of friends like all the time, but I'm not going to tell someone that I've only known for like a few weeks, hey, this is what I've been dealing with for 18 years. And I want to change that fact. Can you please, keep me accountable in the situation? I'm not going to do that because that person, or it's not at that level yet. And like you said, it's way easier to just diss when anyone says like, oh, but you don't know me. You don't know this. You don't know you don't know my story. You don't know what situations I'm going through. I needed this crux. So, step off basically. But
I can even do that with my current accountability partners. I can even say like, you don't know.
That's a great point.
Which is not healthy.
It's a great accountability partner in one way because you feel that friendly with them to be able to push back. And then they're going to have to be able to push back to you and be like, this is my role in our relationship. This is what you wanted. Because a good accountability partner is not just going to bend when you say, step off or you don't know. They can be like, no, I do know. That's why I'm here, let's look at the Bible. So, when you think about stories in the Bible of accountability, I think of 1 Kings chapter 12, the story of Rehoboam, right? So Solomon's son, smart. Your dad is the smartest guy in the world, like up to this point and even beyond. He just didn't know that, right? Because he didn't know the future. But at this point, Rehoboam is kind of, he's taking over the kingdom of Israel. And he has these elders, right? And I see them as accountabilities for him. Like these are the people that he's going to ask wisdom from. When I think about an accountability partner, I think of somebody who's wise and smart and has the spirit of the Lord in them. These counselors helped Solomon, right? So, they're, they have some merit to them. Then he has his friends he grew up with who have the same passions as him. So basically the scenario is he's gathering all the people together and they're saying, hey man, can you lower our taxes? Like your dad was like killing us, man. Like we need a break. Can you give us a little tax break? You know what I'm saying? Like I get what they're saying. And he asked the elders and they're like, listen, you should lighten their load. They'll love you forever. They'll follow you forever. He's like, I hear you, but hey, boys, come over here. This is what the old guy said, right? They literally listed them as old guys in the Bible. And then he asked his young friends, what should I tell them? And his friends are like, yo, first of all, forget what they just said, right? This is what you need to go tell the people. My dad beats you with whips. We're going to beat you with scorpions. My little finger is, I forgot the exact phrase. He was like, my little finger is stronger than my dad's thigh. Like, right, just some random stuff. But like, he directly quoted his friends. So that tells you that he was an impressionable young man, which means he needed accountability, but he didn't listen to wisdom. He listened to his friends. And so that's why I think there is definitely a line between friendship and accountability at times.
Yeah. Which it sounds like he had mentors.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. I thought of David and Jonathan and their friendship. And after David defeated Goliath, it was like Jonathan was like, hey, like there was just this, like they automatically clicked and they became friends. And even through, Jonathan was King Saul's son, and King Saul eventually wanted to kill David. Yeah. And even through all of that, like Jonathan was like, hey, no, we got to part ways, but we're still going to be friends. We're still going to be faithful friends. So I believe that in that strength of a friendship, there is automatically accountability there. I think they didn't just let each other get away with stuff, but that strong friendship, that bond, is a good place for accountability to happen too.
And for me, I think of kind of like where accountability should have been and friendship should have been, and definitely was not, is with David. And the Bible says in a time when kings went to war, David is just chilling at home.
That's a fact.
Maybe he had a friend that been, hey, maybe you should go to war. What does he do? He sees Bathsheba bathing on the roof. Maybe he had a friend and be like, hey, David, maybe you shouldn't be peeping Tommen on Bathsheba. Right? Gets her pregnant. Oh, but maybe someone said, hey, probably a bad idea. Maybe you should own up to this. Nope. Tries to kill her husband. At some point, like there's just a lot of steps where an accountability buddy could have stepped in and said, King, listen, I know, you guys after your own heart and everything. You've been making some bad decisions lately. And if you're not careful, I think God might be sending a prophet here soon to let you know that what you've done is a terrible, terrible thing.
Yeah.
Where sure enough happens where Nathan drops the real accountability of, hey, you know, the story I just told you with this person that took this man's sheep. Yeah. You're so ticked off about, you not only did you do the exact same thing, but your punishment is about to be 4 times worse.
Yeah.
So great perspectives on it. I mean, I think that there's definitely something to have an accountability partner. And then to your point, Michelle, I think you're saying a true friend like Jonathan and David, it's already kind of built into that.
Yeah.
And I think there's some merit in that. And so when we have that biblical perspective for us, I think as Christians, we do have a leg up. Now, if you're listening right now, you know, and you're like, you know what, I may not consider myself a Christian. The point that we're making is this. Have an accountability partner is somebody who will check you when you're doing something wrong. And a true friend is somebody who would do something very similar. The problem is some friends are just not going to be good accountability partners. That's just how it is. And you use the word mentor. I think mentor and accountability partner, that could be used kind of synonymously. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And so really the next part is this, then what is a good friend? We're talking about a true friend like Jonathan and David. What makes a true friend?
So can I share?
Yeah.
I've got 2 girlfriends that I've been very close with. Our kids have grown up together. And part of, I guess, a friendship story I would have is that I, as life has gotten busy and I've gotten kids, I've kind of moved away from friendships. And it's been a little bit of a weakness of mine. I don't get too close to somebody because either I don't have time or I don't want them to know all my stuff. But I've got 2 girlfriends that they know that about me. They know that I will just go silent for a few weeks, but they will still reach out to me and they're still like, hey, Michelle, where are you? What's going on with the Craddock family? How come you haven't responded to us? Yeah. But they don't hold that stuff against me either. They understand who I am, but they still are like, we're still gonna be friends. You can ignore us all you want, but we're still gonna be friends. So for me, even though we should not be looking for friendships, we shouldn't be looking for what we can get out of friendships, which is another weakness of mine. And that's probably where the weakness actually started. It is to serve others. And so these 2 girlfriends of mine really do serve me well. And they make me a better person just by calling me out when I'm not responding to text messages or whatever it might be. So those are 2. That's an example of 2 of my girlfriends who are great friends to me.
I think I can, besides my wife, I have 2 people that I can say that hold me like 100% accountable. The 2 reasons for that, number one is we are very open in our communication with each other, sometimes almost to a fault. We don't to call each other as in, I have this issue and I need you to fix it right now. It's, I'm not okay and this is why. And the open communication leads to like also active listening. That we're not trying to judge, we're not trying to shame, we're not just trying to give you like, well, you messed up and you should have done this and blah blah blah. It's, I understand like the hurt that you're feeling right now and it's a legitimate thing. Now from there it turns into, so what can we do to start correcting some actions? And that goes both ways for me and for them. And the other reason is again because we're so understanding of each other that there is no fear of being judged. There is no fear of basically falling into a legalistic trap. Oh, Austin, this and this happened because you didn't give enough on Sunday, or God is clearly punishing you because of X, Y, Z. A friend to me will never try to basically have a universal reason of why things are happening. It's always, well, this and this because of maybe of these actions. And it's very openly discussed. It's very personally discussed as well, which again, I can't just do with everybody. I need someone that knows me on a very intimate level, which thankfully these 2 guys in my life for sure have.
That's good. I think for myself, so me and my accountability partner are best friends as well. And we've been friends for like years, and we've been accountability partner for years. However, there was a time in our accountability where it kind of slipped back into friendship because we were both struggling with something similar, which is why I can attest to if like you're going through the same sin struggle, or even like a laziness struggle, right? So let's say like you just graduated college, and this is just for me, and we're both supposed to be applying for jobs, and we're both like playing video games or just doing something else, and we're just like both lazy. We're like, man, can you hold me accountable? And they're like, yeah, let's go. Let's go play Call of Duty together after we just talked about let's not be lazy together, right? And so we, over the years, it's formed into a stronger accountability as we both matured and got older and things like that. But we meet on Mondays. And so I think a part of this accountability conversation is the practical side of how do you find one? And then how do those conversations go? What questions? Do you have a rubric? Like, do you ask the same questions every single week? We meet every Monday. We don't ask the same questions, but we do generally know what each other is going through. And so he'll ask about the fam. He'll ask about like things that I'm trying to work through and get better at. And then I'll do the same for him. And so can you give us some practicals? Like, how do your conversations go? If somebody's like, how do I find an accountability partner? Even how would you go about sharing how to find one of those?
Yeah, I think I'll go first. Awesome.
Please, okay. Ladies first. I went first last time.
So I think it's got to be somebody that you, whether it's a friend, acquaintance, whatever, it has to be somebody that you trust completely. That is that really does want your best interests. Right. That you are safe sharing all the screw ups right. with them, and they're gonna be like, hey, we're gonna get better at this. But I have a friend who she asks me some specific questions, and she says, what are you thinking? What are you doing? And what are you thinking of doing? And when we get together, we just know that that's like, we keep each other accountable, and that's why we get together is to sharpen each other.
That's good.
So those are 3 questions that we ask each other. Yeah. Austin, what do you think?
Yeah, so I think when finding somebody, trust, like you said, is a big deal. I know the Bible says that, everything that's been done in the dark will one day be brought to the light. But for me, I don't want that day to be today. Right. And also, that's in front of God, not your coworkers. Right. And so I would need to trust somebody that if I'm going to tell you something personal that I'm struggling with, I would appreciate if you didn't straight just start gossiping about me behind my back. That's number one. The second thing is to set a clear set of boundaries. Because I think when some people look for an accountability person or accountability buddy, it's like, I want to be able to contact you 24/7. Right. And it's when you're on the opposite side of that, someone asking you to hold accountable, you have your own assessment that you need to do. Do I have time to hold you accountable with certain situations? Because if you need me, and if I have my own family or something like that, then I can't let you stumble. Yeah. So find somebody you trust, set your boundaries. Also, make sure you set up your expectations. Yeah. For 2 reasons. A, that you actually are hitting a goal, and it's not just some vague thing you're putting out there, but then also for that person doesn't hold you to some strict hardcore thing. Dude, you went on this and you started doing that. Like, well, no. Like, I will admit I was tempted, but I didn't follow through with it. Yeah. Those are the important things. Someone you trust, assessing the boundaries that you want to set in place, and then also the expectations for both parties that you need.
I wrote out a few attributes to both of your guys' points of what makes a good accountability partner. And one of them, the gossiping one, is a big one. I wrote not a gossiper. You ever heard that story when there's a group of, they're at a student camp and all the kids were sharing, some of their sin struggles. And one girl's, she's like saying, listen, I've been just cheating on my boyfriend with this friend over here. And they were like just getting into it. And then the last person goes and she goes, listen, I struggle with gossiping and I can't wait to get back to tell everybody at church. And so it's a joke, but it goes to show that you need somebody that's going to be able to not gossip and to be that closed book that you can really trust, because that trust is what enables the honesty. If you don't trust the person, then the honesty is not going to come. I also wrote discerning. So that person needs to be discerning in order, to your point, Austin, they don't need to be ripping in you if you didn't even cross the line. Like, let's hear the person out, right? And discerning as well as knowing, what somebody should hear. Not everything's for everybody in every occasion. So sometimes you'll mess up and you just need a listening ear. Sometimes you'll just need a verse. Maybe the verse isn't it. Let's just pray. Maybe it's just saying, man, that sucks. And I can relate to that,
I get that 100%. I come from a kitchen background. And so my type of communication is I need someone to tell me that I'm garbage when I made a mistake, that I'm never going to amount to anything. And that's what gets me like on the right path, if you're right, whatever. But then if I try to use that same exact thing to someone that doesn't quite have as thick a skin as I have, then my wife holds me accountable all the time. Austin, you can't be that mean. What do you mean mean? I'm being loving. I am trying
You're
to point.
speaking truth.
Yeah, exactly. It's not my fault they made that stupid mistake.
Right. Yeah. It's all about discerning it and then asking deliberate questions. That's, I think, part of the key. A good accountability partner isn't going to skirt around the hard questions. If you know that person is struggling with a particular addiction, even, it's like, are you doing this now? It's not, hey, you feeling all right today? It's, you got to get to it, and that's what makes a good one. And then I put wise, and then I also put not having the same sin struggle. Now, that's not to say they hadn't struggled in the past, because I think that could be powerful. Hey, these are the tools that I use to get through this. But when they're doing, two alcoholics, it's going to be very difficult for you to help each other out in that particular instance. Because when you're both weak, what are you going to do? You're going to turn to what you're weakest in. And so, when we think about some of the virtues of a good friend, you kind of nailed this with Michelle, with your friends. I mean, that's a relentless pursuit they have. When you're not there, they're like, no, like, Michelle, are you good? Are you okay? Talk to us. We care for you. We love you. And with your friend, I mean, being a great listener, being an active listener is one of the things you mentioned. I would add, so my Bible one for example is Ruth and Naomi. And Ruth displayed loyalty, love, and virtue and faithfulness by staying by Naomi's side. So the story, if you're not familiar, if you're driving along, you're like, who is Ruth and Naomi? So Naomi was a mother-in-law to Ruth. Ruth married one of her sons, and guess what? Both of her sons died. And so Ruth is, she doesn't have a husband anymore, and Naomi's husband died. And so they're sticking together. So they're kind of like traveling. Naomi's like, well, hey, listen, go home, go be with your people, the Moabites. And Ruth is like, no, like, I'm not going to leave you. I'm going to go where you go. Your God's going to be my God. Like, I'm rocking with you to the end. Yeah. And then Naomi's like, okay, well, let's go to my people. Now, here's the catch. The Moabites and the Israelites did not like each other. In fact, they battled several times. Like, more than two wars have been waged by these two people groups. So Ruth is saying, I'm going to go into hostile enemy territory to meet your family, and they might view me as a foreigner, outsider, even like, the enemy straight on. But Ruth loved Naomi that much, to that degree. That friendship was real because she realized that Naomi couldn't fend for herself. And this was probably a multi-day journey to get to her people. And so Ruth saw that, and she cared for her in that way. And it was really unselfishness that marked that friendship when I read about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I just add another characteristic? They need to be funny. We just need friends that are funny, right?
It's better to catch flies with honey than vinegar. Right?
That's a fact.
Exactly. Yeah.
But back to the Ruth story, it's interesting that that they get to Naomi's people, and they find out one of the relatives of one of Ruth's late husbands, and she's like, you need to start taking care of me and my family. And the whole is like, no, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. And so that's why she ends up finding. So it's funny, another person that tried to, no, you have this law that you're supposed to follow. He's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. So they had to go around and just find someone else that would be held accountable. No, you're right. This is, I think even the Bible says that she was marked as like being more godly in that same fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good story.
Man, when you think about good friends in your life, what are just some key attributes that you think about for you guys?
Trustworthy. They don't, non-judgmental.
Yeah, that's a good one.
A lot of my friends, I'm not trying to say like I take advantage of this or anything like that. I want that on the table. But they will a lot of times drop anything at a foot of a hat or at the drop of a hat if I need something like big. And it's so nice too. It's like, it's never no questions asked.
Yeah.
And I try to do the same thing for them, almost to the point where my wife gets kind of angry at me. Austin, why'd you decide to do this? Because I'm a friend and I'm a good friend and I need to be there for them. But I'm not saying to just be so desperate to help out somebody like all the time, but definitely, even when it could be inconvenient for you, to be ready to be a helping hand. Because for some people, that's a last ditch effort to get that helping hand. So if you can be like, I'll be there for you, to me is a very big thing. Yeah.
And when you guys think about friends and you think about finding good friends or finding accountability partners, where would you even find an accountability partner? Is there like an app for that? Like
accountabilabuddy.com?
Yeah, like where did you guys find your accountability partners? And where would you suggest somebody listening right now, where would they go to find one?
Well, again, I'll go back to like friendships, like the friendships that I already have. Those are the women that keep me accountable. But even, who do I, out of my group of friends, like who do I want to be like, who do I look up to even in a friendship, which also goes hand in hand with mentorship. If you're looking for a mentor, how do you even find a mentor? Well, it's you. Who are you already surrounded by? And then within that group of people, who do you look up to and who do you respect? Who can you learn things from that you don't already know yourself?
Mm-hmm. I will say that I have never actively looked for an accountability person. They've always kind of just fallen into my lap. But that being said, I do look at the fruits of their lives because, granted, this person might be struggling with the same thing I'm struggling with. But if you barely even have your life handled together,
right.
How are you about to help me put my life back together? So if I think using your group of friends, because you already started kind of building that trust, and not to put down families or anything, but families are always going to kind of make excuses for you sometimes of, oh, you're doing the best that you can, even though you might not be. But definitely starting with that group of friends and looking at who is living this godly life, this biblical life, and I can clearly tell that by the fruits of their lives, and that's my main itinerary list.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So let's say whoever's listening to this, maybe they don't have a group of friends right now. They're maybe alone and just isolated themselves for whatever reason. And maybe that reason of isolating themselves is what they need to be held accountable for, or they need help with. So how do you, I don't know, this just came to mind. How do those people find accountability, or do they find friends first? And where do you know what I'm saying? So people who are listening who just might be isolated, we gave it answers of like, we're surrounded by people already.
That's a great point. I'm a very big extrovert, so it's going to be hard for me to put myself into an introvert shoes.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty extroverted myself. But if you're listening right now and you're like, where can I find community? I would guide you to the church. And I don't know how you feel about church, but personally, I think that is where community is supposed to be. Let's be honest here. And, it may be harder to find if you're an introvert. But there's a part of it where when you're finding friends, you do kind of have to get outside of yourself, right? You do have to say hi to some people sometimes. You have to respond back. But I would just encourage anyone, try to find a local church in your area and look for friendships there. Yeah. There are groups usually at churches. Sometimes they have groups based on like if you like fishing, there's a fishing group sometimes, there's a group if you just want to do a deep study and exegete the scriptures. I mean, I think there's places in local churches where you could find groups for you. And then you can go and you can look up and ask leaders, hey, I'm looking for accountability. Where can I go look? And so I think a practical step is stepping into a local church body.
Do you guys think that, I'm sorry, I don't mean to become the interviewer.
Let's talk about it.
But do you guys think that that those of us who are Christians, we could do a better job of making ourselves available to that
we're
world?
Perfect. No, we're perfect. There's nothing else we know.
Okay, I mean, me and Austin, maybe.
I'm a JD. I'm also perfect. I don't know what you're talking about.
I think the church is doing everything. No, of course, the church can we can make ourselves more available as people, as individuals, and then as the Big C Church, I think as well.
But even to unbelievers too, to those who are not Christians, like those of us who are Christians, sometimes because we get so caught up in our own sheltered life in our own world, we don't even step out into the world, right? To become friends with those who don't believe the same thing that we believe. And I think we all in this, time and season of life, we struggle with becoming friends with, and then even accountability partners with people who believe differently than we do. Anyway. Just kind of.
I think so. For me, I think I can definitely do a better job. Even me personally, we are busy, right, in our own lives, and I move fast. Like I'm always constantly doing something. So sometimes I've been working on lately, just sitting back more and asking God what he has for me. What do you want me to do? And so I think a practical step that we could all take if you're listening and you are a Christian and you are saved and you feel the conviction of, how can I love people better? How can I be, how can I look for friends? Especially as we get older, it's hard to make genuine friends. It just is because some people have been friends for years and you're never going to break those cliques, right? Yeah. And so it can be intimidating for an adult to find a new friend. And so as Christians, the onus is kind of on us to be like Jesus, right? Jesus went to people he didn't know and say, hey, come follow me. He did he went outside of himself and was like, come follow me. And Granted, there's probably definitely something about his aura. They were like, yo, I'm definitely going to follow you. Like, but that says that the spirit inside of us needs to be that same aura, right? People are attracted to the spirit of God. If you're coming in the right manner, then I think there's something about that. I've heard people saying, man, there's something different about that person or that guy. And man, I just want to talk to you. Like, I just want you to, can we pray? Can we connect in that type of way? And so I think if we are really on our A game as Christians and we're praying, God, please show me who do you want me to talk to? Who do you want me to befriend? Is there somewhere I can go, outside of my norm where I can go and find those friendships?
Yeah.
Something that I think I struggle with a lot with this, and I need someone to hold me accountable to fix.
Perfect time.
Is especially as a Christian, when I go into a friendship with someone that is not a believer, I think I'm too quick into, I need to change you.
Yeah.
I need to show you how to live.
Yeah.
Instead of really taking a moment of saying, like, I'm just as bad as you are in every sense of the imagination. So I can't do anything. This has to be God's movement. This has to be, I can't just, I'm not the UPS driver for God. I can't just put him in a nice package, pick him up, and here's your God. Now come with me to church, because God's heavy, right? So I think you have to, JD's point, you have to allow that spirit in you to give you, I'm a little trippy on using the word aura. I see orange. But to have definitely like the fruits of the spirit, like the joy, the peace, like everything, that they just look at you and say, I am struggling. I'm alone, but I see you. And wherever you go, people gravitate to you. And I can tell that it's real and authentic. And it's not even just you that are happy, but now people that I can tell were sad. Now they are experiencing, like, how do I get into that? And then that opens up the door for that conversation. But you don't just kick down the door. Do you want to be happy today? Because I got the word for you today. You're not. I'm not there to change you. I'm there to walk with you.
Yeah.
And to serve.
Yeah.
To serve others. Yeah.
It's kind of like how we believe that our walk is a relationship with Christ. And it's not about like, change me right now and then I'm perfect and I'm good now. It's we're going to fall, we're going to struggle. And same with friends, there's going to be lulls in friendship, and that's okay. That's normal because we're all human. But yeah, I'm encouraged by this. I mean, I think that being, the difference between accountability partner and a friend, there are some lines, but then to your point, Michelle, I like what you said. A true friend is going to hold you accountable. So I love that too. And the story of David and Jonathan is perfect. And so I would say use discernment. If you're listening right now and you're looking for friends and you're looking for accountability partners, pray to God. Ask him for it. Ask direct and bold prayers. He can handle it. Trust me. He's our God.
Well, I think that goes both ways. Yes, to use discernment to find somebody, but then also in your own self to use discernment if I can even hold this person accountable.
Right.
Because like you said, if that person's going through the same sinful process, but I haven't explained that to anybody, I can't step into that position.
Yeah. And to your point, I mean, this is my personal stance. I think opposite sexes should not be accountability partners. I don't know if you guys agree.
Yes, I agree.
100%.
Yeah. So I just wanted to leave that one in there. We did mention it, so I just wanted to be clear on that.
Please leave your comments below on how you feel about JD's risque comment that we all just happen to be affirming with.
Yeah. I think this has been good. You guys have anything else you'd want to add on true friendship, accountability, or anything in between those?
Gosh, not without going 30 more minutes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good one.
Being a true friend does not mean being an enabler.
Yeah.
That's all. That's because I don't like confrontation, so I'm always like, no, it's good, but it's not good. So if you're gonna be a true friend, you gotta get ready to take that stand, man.
You do have good jokes, though. A true friend has good jokes.
That's good. I like that. That should be a t-shirt.
True friends got good jokes.
Yeah, I like that. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us on Moment by Moment. We are in the middle of season 4. We're so glad that you tuned in. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that subscribe button if you're listening. Make sure you follow. We are wherever you find your podcast, and of course, we're on YouTube if you want to watch our visuals. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next Monday. Make sure you tune in to Moment by Moment. See you then.